Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Don't Blame the Movies, the podcast where I still don't really have an intro. I'll work on it, I promise. I'm your host, Dooney, and today we're talking about something a little bit different, but I feel like it's super important. That's movie reviews, or more specifically, why honesty and integrity matter when we talk about horror movies, or like movies in general, actually. Because, let's face it, in a world of sponsored content, hype trains, and social media echo chambers, it's easy to get lost in the noise. But horror deserves better, and so do we as the audience. So, let's start with the basics. What is a review really? At its core, it's one horror fan sharing their take with others. It's not about showing off film school credentials or dropping the most obscure or pop culture references. It's about helping people figure out if this movie is worth their time, what might surprise them, or even what they wanna avoid. And I think that's especially important in horror, because horror is very personal. What scares me might be boring for you. For example, I suffer from mild arachnophobia, but I can still watch like movies with spiders in it. But they trigger a little, I don't know what the right word is, a little ick in me. So this is like, you know what I mean? So a movie about spiders may like be more like terrifying or even be more horror than for you who's not afraid of spiders, but instead, I don't know, you're afraid of snakes or afraid of clowns or just afraid of the dark itself. So yeah, when we talk about horror, we're talking about like emotion, experience, and expectation. And that makes honesty in a review very, very, very important. So let's talk about hype a little bit. You know that feeling when everyone on TikTok is raving about a movie, like, oh my god, this is the scariest movie ever. And then you watch it and you're like, okay, that was boring. Or like, oh my god, Terrifier 2 is the the goriest movie ever. And you watch it and be like, didn't you guys watch Dead Alive? So, it's not bad. I mean, I get it why people think Terrifier, oh my god, it's so gory and everything, because yes, it has its intense moments. But still, is it the goriest movie ever? No. Is it the goriest movie in recent years? Debatable. I'd say in the, let's say, I don't want to say mainstream, but Terrifier kind of mainstream, so yeah, definitely. And this is the thing that's what I mean. Is sometimes we want to be part of the moment so badly, we ignore how we really feel. Or worse, we start reviewing movies based on trailers or Rotten Tomato scores, or even because we love the franchise. Or even, it's a little bit, I think it's for everyone, it should be a little bit hard to admit, but sometimes people review movies just to appeal to the audience or their fans. And for me, that's not reviewing. And that's like parroting what other people say. So like when I see the majority shit on a movie like Longlegs, for example, and it has, let's say, a Rotten Tomato score of like, let's say 40% or whatever, and I say, oh yeah, I better say it is really bad so I can fit in and get a lot of clicks or whatever, then that's not honest. Then that's not what I feel about this movie. So a very, very important thing, say what you really think. I think I'll come to this later again, but yeah, say what you really thought about a movie, even if it's unpopular. Also, a very important thing is acknowledge your taste. Like, if you hate found footage, then say so and don't pretend to be neutral. There are a lot of people that can't stand found footage movies, or whether the hype about zombie movies died down a little bit because the market was so overwhelmed with all, since The Walking Dead came out with zombie shows and zombie movies, and it got a little bit much, and so people were like, this fatigue a little bit. I call it the superhero fatigue, because that's what I'm experiencing. I can't watch Marvel movies anymore like I did until, I'd say, around Endgame. Everything after that, when a new Marvel movie came out, I was like, okay, another Marvel movie, yay. But that's what I mean. It's like, I still try to go in with an open mind, but on the other side, I don't really watch every Marvel movie religiously like I did before in phase, I don't even know, 1, 2, 3. I don't know how many phases there are, to be honest. So, yeah. And also, don't overrate movies just to fit in. That's how we end up with very meh movies, because we call them masterpieces and whatnot. Like, a couple of days ago, I watched Jurassic World Rebirth. I was like, it's kind of boring, to be honest. I mean, not boring. The action scenes were pretty good and everything, but everything around was pretty boring. Like, it's like, maybe it's really, really personal taste, but I thought that the story was very blah. The characters were so forgettable. If you disagree, then do it for yourself and don't use Google or something, but be honest. Can you tell me the name of Scarlett Johansson's character in the movie? Or, I forgot his name, Mahershala Ali? Because I came out of the movie and was like, I have no idea what the names were. Because they were so forgettable as characters. And then when I see people reviewing them as 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, I was like, why? I don't want to talk down, because like I said, movies are very personal experience, and reviewing movies is the same thing. It's very personal. Like, stuff I like, you may not like, and the stuff you like, I may not like. But I think that the fundamentals of the movie, it's like, when you give a movie like Jurassic World Rebirth a 9 out of 10, this means it's only a little bit worse than the original Jurassic Park. Like, for me, because for me Jurassic Park is like 10 out of 10. And I think not one of the sequels of Jurassic Park or Jurassic World came even close to it. I think the closest for me was like Jurassic World, the kind of reboot sequel thingy, with, I can't remember what I rated it. I think it was 7 out of 10, 6 or 7 out of 10. But everything else is like, Even though I really, really enjoy The Lost World, Jurassic Park, it's not per se a good movie for me. I enjoy it because I grew up with it and stuff like this. But this is what I mean. Like, being honest and being like, okay, I like this franchise. I have nostalgic feelings for it. But is this a good movie? Not really. Especially not if I have, and that's often the case in a franchise, something to compare this movie with. Like I said, when Jurassic Park is like a 10 out of 10, then it's like, okay, this sets the tone for my future reviews. Because this is also a downside of movie reviews, that if you do a franchise, you will always be compared to the original. Sometimes sequels can be better than the original, or at least as good. Let's say Evil Dead, for example. Or what else did we have? Okay, very, very popular opinion, but Aliens or Terminator 2, stuff like this. Like, I really liked the first movie, but when I saw the second movie, I was like, holy shit, they even made it better. Or even the Ouija movie. Like, I saw the first movie, I was like, yeah, it's like, okay. I can't really remember. I think I gave it 5 out of 10 back then. But then Ouija 2 came out and I was like, oh boy, this is such a better movie experience. I think I gave this one a 7 or 8 out of 10. And also, there's one important point, I think, that's very, very essential when you talk about reviews, or like when you're reviewing a movie. A bad review doesn't mean you're a hater. We need to normalize saying, I didn't like this, without being labeled a hater. And also, this brings me to another very, very important point. I think over the years we forgot that a 5 out of 10 means that a movie is average. Like, for me, example, a 5 out of 10 movie would be like the Transformer movies. Like, just a lot of action and it's like kind of entertaining, but the story is like, yeah, it's just there, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people forget that a 5 out of 10 mean this is the average, where I say, yeah, it was an okay movie, it was an entertaining movie. Was it good? No. But I didn't feel bored or something, you know? Lately, I think it's more like, I think people think when they hear a 6 out of 10, they associate this with a bad movie. But it's not. A 6 out of 10 is above average. This is something we cannot forget when we, first of all, review movies, and second of all, when we read movie reviews. Because like I said, 5 out of 10 is the average. And even if we really, really, really like movies, not every movie can be a 10 out of 10. If you rate every movie a 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, then I think you're doing movie reviews wrong. Because every movie, even if it's a pretty good one, has flaws. And even the old movies that we watch through nostalgia goggles with, I think even they have flaws. But still, the overall experience makes us forget these flaws. For example, the recent movie I watched, Sinners, I think I gave this one an 8 out of 10. Because, yeah, it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it, I had a good time, and I think that's most important, I didn't feel like I wasted my money when watching it. But is it a 10 out of 10 movie? No. So, what is a 10 out of 10 movie then for me? For me, a 10 out of 10 movie, like personally, is a movie that stays always in the back of my head for like days or weeks after I watched the movie. I think the last time this happened to me was with Poor Things, and before it was like Everything Everywhere All at Once, or what else did I watch? It was pretty good. Or The Lighthouse. I know The Lighthouse is very controversial because a lot of people hate the style of it and they can't immerse themselves, maybe. But I had a blast. For me, it was one of the best movies of the year. Or even lately when I watched the Oscar movies, the animated movie Flow, it was such a great movie. It is still, sometimes when I thought about stuff, it came up and I was like, oh, I really want to watch Flow again. So yeah, that's what I think I lost my train of thought a little bit. Yeah, bad reviews, exactly. And when I say, for example, let's go to the opposite direction. When I say I thought that The Nun 2 was boring or a dull movie, it's not because I hate horror or because I hate this character. I think it's a great character and you can do great things with this character. But the downside with, let's say, the Conjuring spin-offs is, at least for me, it feels like they're just jump scare fests. And for me, jump scares are not scary. Jump scares are cheap. Except when you use them like in a well-placed manner, like the Conjuring itself does. It uses jump scares, but it's not littered with jump scares. Like, for me, the worst offenders, like already mentioned, are The Nun, or like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It's like, it's just kind of predictable, and it's a little bit annoying to me, to be honest. I wanna have a jump scare that really scares me. I don't want a jump scare that wakes me up because nothing else happened in this movie and everything is boring. I want to be so immersed in this scene that I almost get a heart attack of the jump scare. I know it's a little bit different, but I remember a couple of years ago there was this game called PT. It was basically a demo, also called playable teaser, for what we later found out was for a sadly cancelled Silent Hills game. And there was one jump scare in it. I think literally I lost like 2 years of my life to this jump scare. Because all you do in this game is walk through a hallway, more or less, and go in circles. But every time a little something changes. And then I don't know exactly how it went, but I turned around, and then the moment I turned around, they put a jump scare in front of me. And this came out of nowhere. And like I said, I think I lost like 2 years of my life to this jump scare. So this is what I mean when I want to hear or like experience a jump scare. To be literally scared and make me jump. Not jump because, ooh, loud noise and that's it. No, I want to jump out of my seat because I'm fucking terrified of whatever is going on there. But I'm drifting off a little bit. So yeah, like I said, I think it's way too long already. Oh my god, 20 minutes. I was aiming for 10 minutes. Like I said, the horror community, it thrives on discussion. So discussion can only happen when we are honest and when we say, okay, I like this movie and I will defend it with whatever, with my heart. And if we are not honest about it and just be like, oh, if I give this movie a high review, maybe like the, I don't know, director or producers or whatever will notice me, and then I will get a screening, an invitation to a screening for the next movie or something like this. No, don't do this. Be honest. Yeah, maybe. I think a director also appreciates honesty. Like if you say a movie is bad, then it should also be grounded in something. Like you have to explain why you think this movie is bad. But if you just like keep like, yeah, this movie is bad because everybody else says it's bad, or oh, this movie is the best movie ever because I got a free screening and I want to have a free screening again. No, don't do this. That's like shitty behavior, and this leads to more shitty movies. Because if we do this, if everybody does this, then yeah, people will be like, oh, we put out a good movie. Nice. We should put out more of this slop because people won't be mad at us. So no, I want good movies and I want movies to improve. That's why I'm very critical of movies. For example, also I have to make this very quick, like I said, it's way too long. For example, the Terrifier movies. For me, I think the first movie I rated a 6 out of 10 because it's like, yeah, it had some nice gore scenes, but that's basically it. Terrifier 2, I think I rated 8 out of 10 because I knew already what to expect from a movie like Terrifier, but this time it had a little bit more story, better developed characters. But for me, I think if the movie would have been like 20 minutes shorter maybe, then I think maybe this movie would have gotten an 8.5 or 9 out of 10. I think like the end, like the final 30 minutes, it dragged on a little bit. And then Terrifier 3, I think I gave it a 7 out of 10 because, yeah, it was okay. Not as good as the second one for me, but it was okay. And here's the important thing. Just because I say the first Terrifier is like a 6 out of 10, or even if I would rate it a 4 out of 10 or whatever, doesn't mean I don't respect the art behind it. Because I remember after the second Terrifier, I went to Frightmare and I met Damien Leone and we talked a little bit, and he's a nice guy. And I think it's important to be like, there are people behind it who have a passion for this kind of movies. And Damien Leone, I think, is one of these people who is really passionate about his movies. And especially, he's very, very, obviously with his background, passionate about his special effects and the kill scenes and the gore scenes. So it would make sense that storytelling is not his strong point. But that's not a bad thing. You can always improve. You can always try to make like a movie that's only based like on characters with no gore. I would even watch this, because I think if he really sits down and tries to come up with it, I think he can improve in storytelling. Like, you've seen the improvement of storytelling from Terrifier 1 to Terrifier 2. Like, there's two completely different worlds of storytelling. Terrifier 1 barely had any story, to be honest. It's like more like, I don't know how to say this nicely. It's more like a little bit of, let's call it filler or motivation for people to get slaughtered. But there was no real story behind it. But with Terrifier 2, suddenly we had Sienna, and Sienna had a backstory and a mysterious connection a little bit to Art the Clown and stuff like this. And this felt more like, oh, that's interesting. I wanna know more about her. That's why we hoped we get to know a little bit more about her and her connection to Art in the third movie, which sadly didn't happen too much. I mean, yeah, there were a little bit of scenes, but not, to be honest, not what I hoped for. So I hope with Terrifier 4 that we really get a good backstory and a big conclusion and everything to this saga. But yeah, the most important part is, even if a movie is bad, there's still people working on it. And even if a movie is bad, it doesn't mean everything is bad. Like, I don't think there's really a movie, well, except maybe for Birdemic, where everything is really, really bad. Like I said, you can be like, yeah, the story of Terrifier was bad. That's a fair point. But still, the gore and the special effects, they were amazing. Even if you, or maybe especially when you're not a fan of like horror movies and you see this gory scenes and everything, you were like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like, for me, this is very important that when I critique a movie, then my intention is, first of all, I wanna inform others about what I felt this movie was like. Like, did I like it? Did I not like it? Why didn't I like it? I know lately I didn't go in depth with my reviews because honestly, time is a little bit of an issue. But I'll try to better myself. That's why I'm trying to revive my podcast again. And also, it's important when I say I didn't like this movie, then I know that the chances are pretty slim because I'm a small content creator. I have a couple of followers on YouTube. I have a couple of followers on Instagram. But when I say this movie is bad or I didn't like this movie as much, I personally want the director to notice this and be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. A lot of people didn't like this movie or my movie or whatever. Maybe for the next movie I should do better, and I should show them, you know what, I can prove to you that I can be better. And that's why it's important to be like, okay, this movie, I can see your attention, but it failed, it didn't entertain me or whatever, but do better. But when we are like, oh, this movie was amazing, even though we think it's like, meh, then the director and everybody else will be like, oh, we put out a great movie. We don't need to put more effort into the next one. So that's why for me, horror, or like especially movie reviews in general, need to be genuine, need to be honest, and even if you're standing alone, stick to your fucking opinion. Okay, this is now way too long, like 26 minutes, Jesus. So, very, very briefly, bottom line, reviews should have guts. Not just opinions, but honesty, perspective, and backbone. Whether you're reviewing like Hereditary or like Terrifier 3 or some, I don't know, random VHS horror movie you found in a basement next to your dad's Playboys. You know what I mean? Say what you mean. Or even more important, mean what you say. And never let a hype or something tell you how to feel. Because at the end of the day, horror is a little bit about truth, I think. Because you can't fake not being scared of spiders like I am. Like, horror rips off your mask and shows us what's underneath. And our reviews should be the same. Like, if we really, really enjoy movies, praise them, let people know, hey, this movie is worth your time. If you don't think a movie is good, then basically warn people and be like, hey, maybe think twice about spending your money on this movie. Or even to bring back the point of discussion, watch this movie and tell me how you liked it. Maybe there's something I missed, or maybe there's something you found joy in that's like not enjoyable for me. So I should bring this to an end. I can ramble on for I think hours. So no, this would be way too long. So thanks for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a fellow horror nerd, or like leave a like or whatever, subscribe, you know, all this stuff. And yeah, you won't miss any of my next, I don't know, episodes. I have a little horror movie review planned. It's a little bit different, but I have to write on the script for this for a little bit more. It's a little bit more ambitious, let's call it this way, than I thought. And if you got a hot take on a horror movie, and then drop me a DM or a comment or something, and I really, really want to hear your unpopular horror opinions, or like even unpopular movie opinions, because this is the beauty about, I think, us as humans, the different taste. Not everybody has the same taste, and to be honest, the world would be pretty boring if we all like the same stuff. And before I forget, follow me on Instagram at don't_blame_the_movies, but I hope you already know that. So until next time, don't blame the movies, blame yourself for trusting the trailer of this movie. Okay, have a good one. Bye.